Right. Greetings, brothers and sisters. President John, Division 421 in Atlanta. Today is August 10th, 2024. And we're going over, this is session 7 of the Constitution for the year 2024. We're going to continue to review general laws section, which talks about, briefly touches on the order of convention and touches on local officers and responsibilities and roles of local officers. So first thing first, we'll open up with our motto. If everyone would, please come off mute and repeat after me. One God.
One God,
One aim.
one aim,
One destiny.
one destiny.
All right. We officially open. Some of the questions that we looked at last week, and we'll briefly go over these, and then we'll look at the Constitution for to make it official, basically. But Constitution section, general laws, which starts on, if you got your small Constitution, starts on page 46 officially, but the first office doesn't start to page 47. So I work from the small Constitution. I think that is more prominent. More people have the small Constitution, so I'll try to use that a little more. But one of the questions that general laws answers is what are conventions? And that comes in section 1. Conventions, which we're about to have next week, are convening of the parent body and the delegates of the UNIA-ACL. So it's a convening. Another way we talk about this is through where's our promotion folder? One second, let me find this flyer. Where did I put that? Let's see, UNIA. Our brochure also mentions the upcoming convention, the importance of it. UNIA history. There we go. UNIA, what it is. I don't need my camera on. It uses up more data, makes the files larger. So, what am I looking for? Convention. What is the governing body of the UNIA-ACL? The International Convention, which meets annually unless otherwise provided for. So the International Convention, which takes place next week, is the governing body of the UNIA-ACL. That's what we should take away. What are the blue books? That's talked about in section 2 of Article 1. Summary of the minutes from the Secretary General given to available division. So Brother Najee attending, that's one thing that's very important is records and minutes. So you want to be requesting previous year's minutes, as well as, making sure, well, I think that's the best thing that you can do is request the minutes from previous convention, the 2023 convention. But as far as requests, but you also want to take copious notes. So make sure you got a good composition notebook, whatever it may be, a good couple ink pens, pencils, whatever you prefer, and take notes as much as you can, writing down the time in which things are being stated, what things are being discussed. It will be very beneficial to us as well as you in the long term, but you definitely want to take notes. But blue books, which we'll talk about, are a summary of the minutes, and they come from the Secretary General. So Secretary General is responsible for the minutes of the conventions, basically, the official minutes. We can all develop our own, and that's the purpose of note-taking, secretarial work, so to speak. We all can take our own notes, but the official minutes come from our Secretary General, just like our official minutes from our division will come from our recording secretary, who has the privilege of convention floor. So who can speak. Officials, officers, delegates, what I would say active members. As long as you're an active member in the UNIA, you are a part of a official division. You have the privilege of the floor of convention, and that's read in Article 3. We'll go over that. Who can be admitted to convention, stated in Article 4. Members of the UNIA except given a pass from High Council. So basically, this is a closed meeting to members of the UNIA. You must be a member of the UNIA. When you see other people at convention, they are presumed to be members of the UNIA unless they were given a pass from High Council. So that's also per Constitution.
I have a question about that.
Yes, sir.
So we're not allowed to bring any guests, or it's just strictly UNIA active members?
Great question. I think that's something that we have to challenge. Personally, I would say an African is a member of the UNIA. I do believe that we would be challenged, and they would argue active member. But to officially answer that question, let's go to the Constitution, and we will do our best to interpret the Constitution.
Because my dad, he may come. He was a former member of the UNIA, and then Sister Brittany's sisters were interested in coming. So I just want to make sure, I don't want to step on any out of bounds or anything.
I got you. I got you. So privilege of the floor. According to the amendments 2005, no other person other than officials, officers, and delegates will be allowed the privilege of the floor in convention. The reason why I say all active members, any active member that attends convention assumes the role of a delegate per a previous constitutional injunction, so to speak, or change. But these are the people that have the privilege of the floor. These officials and delegates must be registered with the Secretary General in convention and properly credentialed. Now, admittance to convention, who can be admitted, so to speak. Says no person, amendment from 2005, no person shall be admitted to the convention but a member of the Universal League or Approving Association and African Communities League, except on recommendation from high official of the association league. Visitors receiving a pass from Sergeant at Arms, but no one shall be admitted except on the pass be produced at entrance. Personally, I argue it says a member of the UNIA. In the Constitution, it spells out active member and ordinary member. This does not say active member. I would argue that any African should be allowed, but I don't think that's the consensus, personally.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to be safe, I mean, we could double check with the Secretary General. I don't think they will allow them. Honestly, yeah, I know they won't. But per the Constitution, I would say that they should be allowed. But they won't.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
It's I think we use it as an encouragement to join type thing. That's the best.
Right. I wanted to bring them, because they do live in New York. As far as like wanting them to join, specifically Sister Brittany's sisters.
Mhm.
But but yeah, I guess.
They're so you. I don't know when. I don't remember when you said you would get there. When you say you'll get there at 16th.
So we're flying in on the 16th. We'll be there on the 17th
Okay.
for I think that's the
The parade.
parade. Yeah.
Yeah, the parade is definitely open to the public. I'm
Okay.
not sure. So it will be the business sessions that are closed to it will be closed to non-active members.
Okay. But the parade is for everybody.
Yeah, definitely parade is for everybody, and there should be some public, like at least one mass meeting that takes place throughout convention. I'm not sure where that's going to take place or what day, but that would also be open to public.
Okay.
But good question. Those are good questions. But yeah, again, generally, I'm gonna say during the business meetings, they would not allow a non-active member.
Okay.
All right. Obligation of deputies and delegates. We read this. Did we read this? Section 5. I don't know if we read this. No, we stopped at section 4. Who can be accepted? Sorry. So Article 1. This is not Article 1, is it? Oh yeah. Article 1, Section 5. Okay. So continuing Article 1, Section 5, what is the obligation of delegates to convention? So based on the Constitution, what is the obligation of those that attend convention, those that participate and represent their local divisions? Responsible to be present and on time for each session. Attend to business that is discussed at convention, speak to issues brought to the floor, and must address the chair as Mr. Speaker in convention. Last part isn't necessarily practiced much, but per Constitution, it does state that. We'll jump to that really quick. Obligation of delegates to convention amendment, August 2005. Obligation of each delegate to be present and on time when the chaplain general officially opens each session. So we don't necessarily have an official chaplain general, but there should be someone there to open each session. Again, we haven't been completely punctual, and I'll go back to the order of convention per the Constitution once I finish reading this. But delegates should be there at the open of each session of convention, using the ritual of making sure we abide by the ritual of the UNIA-ACL. A delegate may also use the ritual of the convention oath as obligation to carefully attend to the business being discussed, to make appropriate comments to that specifically relate to the issues of the floor. As far as the oaths, don't worry about that. That's not your responsibility, Brother Najee, but it's something to be aware of and to look out for and not be surprised of if it does come up. Each delegate, when we speak, we must state our name, his or her name and the number of the division before he addresses the convention. So myself, Brother John, President, Division 421 Atlanta. And then, I have a question in regards to the upcoming election. But each time we speak, each time we stand up, we should say our name and at least Division 421. Delegate must address the speaker as quote unquote Mr. Speaker in convention. Again, this hasn't been completely practiced, but read the Constitution and be recognized by the chair before he speaks. So that's something we should probably practice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker in convention. Brother John, Division 421 Atlanta. I have a question in regards to when we will come back to the business session after lunch. That would be a formal request in convention. The convention oath. So if we don't do a UNIA ritual, you should expect a convention oath, which all delegates should be taking. I solemnly pledge my word and honor in the presence of convention assembled in Almighty God, that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties involving and incumbent upon me as a member of this convention and be loyal to the organization, the President General, his high office, and his sacred charge, so help me God. So we should be taking an oath. We don't necessarily do that. That ends Article 1 of General Laws. As again, let me recap the first section, which was the actual convention. Per the Constitution, there is a format for the convention. We don't necessarily follow this. I'm not saying you should necessarily, well, we do try to. At least I think in the plan, we do plan to start our meetings at 10 a.m. and end by a certain time. But We may not necessarily adhere to the times exactly, but it's something that we should still be aware of. And I think as a body, we should be working towards. And if it's not something that we want, let's change the Constitution. If we want to change 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or just take the time away completely, let's amend the Constitution. But per the Constitution, it states Article 1 of General Laws. So first section of General Laws, conventions. The convention which is taking place next week, August through the week of August 17th. The convention of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall assemble at 10 a.m. on the first day of the convention at the headquarters or other designated location. I believe this year we are starting on Wednesday the 14th, I believe. The convention shall have a morning session, lunch session, and an afternoon session by 6 p.m. All convention activities are ended except designated committee meetings. Mass meetings arranged by the host division begin at 7 a.m. end at 10 p.m. So look for mass meetings, quote unquote, public meetings. Those would be public meetings we can invite other brothers and sisters too. There may be from 2 to 4 mass meetings during the week, depending on the resources of the host division. So that's up to New York's plan and vision as to how many mass meetings they will have during the week of convention. All official delegates are expected to attend these mass meetings that are scheduled to introduce the local community to the program of the UNIA-ACL. So I'm sure you would look forward to attending the mass meetings, but as an official delegate, you do have that responsibility per the Constitution as well. Or we have that responsibility if I was going. The annual convention will be held and this is the actual when it would be held unless otherwise stated. So this is something that we've talked about amongst other presidents as to why the timing of convention is when it is. But at the end of the day, Constitution says that the annual convention will be held the last Tuesday of the month of August through the following Sunday. So that's when it is typically held, unless otherwise designated. So last year they designated to have the convention a week earlier, which is the week of Mr. Garvey's birthday, the week of our Garvey Day. So unfortunately, I'm not able to attend at least one other president out of Los Angeles is having a Garvey Day event, and they possibly may not be able to attend either. But per Constitution, it can be designated for a different date, and that was the decision in Curacao 2023 convention. I'm going to need to grab my charger in just a moment. President General shall be responsible to the convention. He shall attend convention and instruct officers under his leadership of their duties and see that such duties are properly performed. Shall empower to exercise a veto power on any financial matter initiated by any individual member or by the executive council they may tend to jeopardize or ruin the finances of the organization. Such veto power shall only be used by the administrator in a financial manner and where from his best judgment is convinced that it is not for the best interest of the organization to permit the carrying out of such financial measures. An appeal may be made to the convention against the veto of the administrator on any measure and shall be held responsible to the convention for the exercise of his judgment on the matter. So this is specifically talking about veto power of the President General. If we submit something in related to finances, President General deems that it would jeopardize or ruin the finances of the organization. President General has the authority to veto that amendment or proposal to anything brought to convention. Any questions there? Okay. All right, that would be Article 1. Article 2, honestly, Article 2 it doesn't have any value. I'll put it like that. It doesn't have any value for us right now. due to so one man, one vote. One man, one vote. Votes will no longer be determined by delegates or deputies. So as of August 14th, all votes take place on the floor of either High Executive Council or on the floor of convention. Prior to 2014, there was a system of delegates in which each division would vote and elect delegates that would represent that division. Most divisions, I mean, anywhere between 1 and 3 delegates each division. In 2014, the UNIA changed the Constitution to state that we would no longer require that process, and anyone that is in attendance at a convention or High Executive Council basically becomes a delegate. So votes will no longer be determined by delegates or deputies. Each member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League present at convention who is in good standing and whose dues are current is entitled to 1 vote for elections and entitled to 1 vote for each motion brought to the election floor, including votes for constitutional amendment. So any active member that is present has the right to vote, and it's no longer a delegate process. With that being said, we'll briefly look over Article 2 of General Laws. But it'll be brief because it talks about the selection. There's a selection process for delegates, but if we don't have delegates, there's no selection process. Anybody that can attend convention becomes a delegate. So Article 2, selection of delegates. No member of division, subordinate society shall be eligible to select a delegate to convention unless he or she shows special qualities of interest in the uplifting of the race and the purpose of the association. So again, each division would have to select 1 or 2 individuals that meet these qualifications. Selection of delegates to convention shall be left entirely to divisions, subordinate societies, except herein be forementioned. Each division, subordinate society shall send a minimum of 1 delegate. So it's talking about the quantity. Such society or division must be financial in good standing. Got to obviously be in good standing. Divisions may send as many members as they wish, but voting delegates will be limited to the number set by the President General, High Executive Council. Again, that maximum number was 3. Each division or society shall bear its own expenses of its own delegates when and if possible. Otherwise, each delegate will bear its own expenses. But just talking about financing delegates to attend convention. Each division will instruct their delegate and delegates as to how to best represent them in convention. So these were elected representatives to speak on behalf of your local division. Each division will discuss among its members concerns of local divisions, send those written concerns to Secretary General in advance of convention, honoring the Secretary General's deadline for submission, and with notices of concerns, motions, resolutions, proposals shall be printed. General order proceedings for the convention. That deadline has been changed to High Executive Council. So in order to have a concern brought to the floor of convention, it had to have been addressed at High Executive Council. So the agenda for this convention has been pretty much set in stone since we came out of High Executive Council in April. Divisions who do not send, this was added also 2005, divisions who do not send a minimum of 1 delegate for 3 consecutive years shall be considered quote unquote inactive. They may be upgraded to active after all fees and other considerations have been accepted by the Executive Council and approved by the President General. So if it wasn't for Brother Najee, we would be in 2 years without any representation. We didn't have any representation last year, and our officers did not have any plan on representation this year, but Brother Najee, if he's able to sign in, that resets the clock for Division 421 to where we would have to be inactive for 3 consecutive years. Questions, comments on delegates, selection of delegates? Again, it's a null and void process. Okay, Article 3, jurisdiction and charters. So general laws, 337. We're doing good on time. Let me get my charger. Need some more water. Okay, general laws form section of the Constitution. As I understand it, as I've studied, now we're talking about local division. So this is good for local divisions, division presidents, lady presidents, how to manage a local division. When we looked at the Constitution earlier in the year when we were preparing for High Executive Council, again, there's three sections of the Constitution. 1 is the Constitution, 2 is the general laws, 3 is the bylaws. The first section we looked at was the section that we call the Constitution. And that section is more so about the structure and function of our leadership. The quote unquote High Executive Council, the elected officials, the appointed officials, the jurisdiction of the UNIA-ACL as a whole, chaplain general, auditor general, counsel general, secretary general, but the overall leadership, the high body of the UNIA. Some of those principles can be applied to us locally, but much of it is kind of above our pay grade, so to speak. So it's good to understand that. We should understand how that functions, how to hold those individuals accountable, who to go to if we have concerns or seeking help and guidance, or if we have good ideas, who's responsible for what department. That's what we talked about with the Constitution. Now we're bringing it local. And this is very, very good for each of us as local divisions. So we should be able to see ourselves as officers, and also, see what pieces we're missing. But without any further ado, we'll look at the Article 3 of General Laws of the Constitution of the UNIA-ACL. Section 1 is about jurisdiction. So, mirroring the Constitution. First thing that we talked about in the Constitution. So we're gonna come back to page 41. What was the first article of the main Constitution? Article 1, jurisdiction. When we talk about jurisdiction, shall include all communities where people of African descent are to be found. So that's the first thing that we talk about when we lay out or define who we are or our authority as a people, is our jurisdiction. That's what we claim. So locally, how do we look locally as far as jurisdiction? And how should we as a division approach that? And I wish our first assistant vice president, he wasn't able to make it today. I'm gonna have to send him this recording. Because we talk about this a lot. And I understand, brothers and sisters. We are the Universal Negro Improvement Association. But again, we have to understand the connection between the High Council and our local executive body. We as a local executive body, we have limited jurisdiction. And we have to do the best within our jurisdiction and connect that to our leadership and allow our leadership to manage the other connections. But local jurisdiction, Article 3 amendment from 2005, the jurisdiction of divisions and subordinate societies by the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall extend within the corporate limits of the country, state, province, or township named in the charter. So with that, our jurisdiction officially for Division 421 as a local division would technically be Metro Atlanta, technically. The fact that there aren't any other divisions in the state of Georgia extends our boundaries to the state of Georgia. But that is where our jurisdiction would stop as a local division. Questions, comments on jurisdiction? No questions on jurisdiction. Okay. Okay. Officers of local division. So now we know our jurisdiction, state of Georgia. The fact that we are the home of our district commissioner, that gives us a little bit more leverage to work with South Carolina and Florida as well. But as a local division, our main priority should be our backyard, which is state of Georgia, city of Atlanta. Based on our charter that we have received from the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Okay. And every division has their own jurisdiction. And as everyone could see, I'm focusing on the red writing as opposed to the black writing. The black writing is the original Constitution. The red writing are the amendments or the updates. So instead of, I'm not going to get y'all too caught up. We can, review the original at any time. I want y'all to know what are the current rules and regulations. All right. So officers of local divisions. Every charter division shall elect its own officers with the approval of the President General, with the exception of the President, who shall be appointed by the President General. So all of our offices, let me see. Here we go. Let me see if I got that. Oh no, dang. Trying to find a slide of our HEC, of our executive body. I don't think I got one. No, I don't. Not here. I'm gonna find one. Give me 1 second. No, that's not a good one because they don't got no names on it. I might be like, man, that's my office. Here we go. So what we just read stated that when we look at our executive body, all of these offices are elected by our local officers, with the exception of the president. This one office, we can make recommendations as to who we want to be in that position, but per the Constitution, the final say as to who is the president of a local division comes down to the President General. There's no longer third VP, Lady VP in red notes. But hold on, so Dr. But the point on that is Constitution. Oh, don't worry about that. All right. So when we look at the Constitution, on the Constitution, there's no longer third lady vice president. Division and executive officers shall be President elected as stated, first vice president, second vice president, lady president, first and lady, each of whom shall be elected by the people. So per the Constitution, yes, you are correct, Dr. Kuda. Constitution only recognizes our first and second lady and male vice presidents. But I know that it's a way around that somewhere, and I think it's in our local our the fact that, yeah, I believe we have local bylaws that allow us to create the position of third lady and male vice president, and that does not go against our Constitution. We still recognize first and second. We just created an addition to, but not a subtraction from. So that's our local. Great point, great observation, Dr. Kuda. So that may be something that we notice with other divisions. They may only have first and second male and female vice presidents. But per the Constitution, that's all that's required. Good observation. Executive secretary shall be appointed by the president general, who shall act in divisions where there is not a president available. So this is in a situation where we can't have an election. We weren't able to determine a president. This happens. The executive secretary is appointed by the president general, who shall act in divisions where there is not a president available, or in special cases where two or more officers are incapacitated. So in times of need, executive secretary is appointed by the president general. But if you have a healthy division, you should have a president, lady president, and your vice presidents definitely staffed. An associate secretary, male or female. Other officers include treasurer, assistant treasurer, who will be male or female, chaplain, each of whom shall be appointed by the president with the approval of the membership board of trustees, consisting of 5 male persons. So we're going to get to our board of trustees when we stabilize ourselves. And as we talk about business, some of this stuff is laid out in Constitution. But again, yeah, because we've tried to bring this to our leadership, and they say that we can't necessarily apply our business ideas to the constitutional structure unless it's approved. So we'll continue to talk about that. But per the Constitution, we should have a board of trustees consisting of 5 male persons. I think we should argue that and have that removed to say 5 persons and not just male persons. It's just my suggestion. 2 of whom shall be appointed by the president. Three shall also be an advisory board and appointive officers, who shall consist of all elective of the division. No other persons are eligible as members of advisory board. 2 of whom appointed by the president, advisory board officers. Yeah, only thing is male persons. That's the only thing I got an issue with. We gotta get out of that. President, financial secretary, and treasurer, and the chairman of the board of the trustees shall be bonded. So I'm supposed to be bonded. A financial secretary, Brother Najee, once that's official, you should be bonded. Treasurer should be bonded. Assistant treasurer, I would also argue, should be bonded. And if we have a chairman of the board of trustees, that individual should be bonded as well. We really don't have any assets to take. This is still a very charitable organization. When we will apply these as needed. I don't think we're at that point yet. We'll probably spend more money bonding ourselves than we have in our account.
President John, what is bonding?
Great question. Hold on. I'm over here talking like I know.
I was going to ask the same thing. What's the bonding process?
This is a bond. No, I'm not talking about a bond. What is bonding in finance? what I was able to find. What is bonding and finance? Bond financing, type of long-term relationship state and local governments frequently use to raise money, primarily for long-lived infrastructure assets. Obtain this money by selling bonds to investors. I don't know if that's what we want. Finance. Let's see, what does it mean to be bonded? Being bonded means that an insurance and bonding company has procured funds that are available to the customer contingent upon them filing a claim against the company. If you're a contractor or other type of business owner, you may need to have good reason to explore what it means to be surety bonded. Seems to be insurance for the organization. Bonding serves as a form of protection. Yeah. The UNIA against potential financial misconduct by its officers. Reflects organization's commitment to accountability and responsible management of resources, which is crucial to maintaining the integrity and trust within the movement. Yes. So financial insurance for the organization to make sure, and yeah, it makes sense because these are the individuals that have the access to the funds. So if they were to run off with the funds, how is the organization protected?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But again, the fact that we got, we know what we got. We don't have any assets, no buildings, no, historical items or anything like that. We got a couple dollars of value. Practice of bonding aligned with the broader goals of the UNIA-ACL to establish a strong, ethical, and self-reliant organization and effectively serve needs of its members and advance the cause of African redemption and Black self-determination as championed by Marcus Garvey. Absolutely, Dr. Kuda. So it is something we definitely want to do. I don't know what level of priority we would put that at. I mean, it does seem important. It's kind of one of those chicken and egg type thing. Like, are people not? Do we don't have funds because people don't support us, or are people waiting for us to get the right paperwork, and then now that everything's in place, they'll support us. Well, oh, you over here chat GPT, and I can tell. Bonding within this contact refers to a financial guarantee of insurance that the organization requires from its officers. Yeah. Safeguard that ensures that an officer mismanaged or misappropriate funds or property, the organization can recover from the losses through the bond. Yeah. Makes sense. So making sure those that have access to the funds don't run off with the funds. That's what bonding is. And that is something, yeah, something we will definitely have. It just hasn't been a priority for us locally. Really? UNIA-ACL GPT, stop playing. Let me get through this. 355. Great point on bonding per Constitution. All presidents, financial secretaries, treasurers, chairman of the board should be bonded. So it is officially unconstitutional for us to be unbonded. But again, based on my knowledge and history, that has been a question of, do we have any assets, to protect? But
Excuse me, President John.
yes, Dr. Kudo.
Does this mean what? Sorry, I'm using earphones and I have the cell phone as well. Let me see. It's echoing. The laptop is off. But my point is with regards to the President General and the building in Philadelphia. How does bonding fit in there?
Great question. I'm pretty sure I forgot the how we are protected.
Because it's at least property that we own as the UNIA-ACL.
I don't have the answer to that question right now. I do think we went over it in the Constitution. Let me think. I don't remember the answer though. Second.
Brother John,
Yes.
are there any stipulations about even leave of absence and things of that nature, protocols for stuff like that?
Protocol.
If you're an official, if you're a president, vice president, officer.
1 second. Hold that question. Dr. Kuda, you gotta give me some time to get an answer to that question. I want to say, to my knowledge, I'm not sure. From what I remember, ownership went through the executive body. Okay, yeah, we'll come back to that. So, Sister Diane, your question was, what's the process for leave of absence?
Right. Or is there a protocol for that sort of thing?
Just notifying our leadership.
I was just curious.
Just giving a heads up. Let me see. Let me see something. And let's see, okay. We were actually going into this. We were a little bit away from it, but one of the things that our Constitution states, term of office of each officer of local division shall be 1 year. So we should be elected each year. After each time said officer may be transferred or reelected, his position shall not apply to the executive secretary. Executive secretary is the appointed position that we talked about. Suspended or dismissed officers shall have no right of claim to promotion, transfer, or reelection to the office. Shall not be interpreted to mean officers whose positions might have been declared vacant due to non-attendance for 2 consecutive meetings. I thought this was the one, but this isn't the one that says it. But there is if we miss 2 consecutive meetings, we declare our offices vacant. Absent officers. Any officer of local division who should absent himself or herself from 2 consecutive meetings from the division without leave of absence shall automatically forfeit his or her office, and the division shall forthwith elect a successor. I would say mass meetings, executive meetings, not because we have non, we have study groups, business meetings. Those are not required. Mass meetings and executive meetings are required. So individuals have, sent me a heads up. Hey, I'm going out of town. I won't be available at these days or these weeks. And it is what it is. I'm gonna be traveling. All right, even retroactively, hey, I know you ain't seen me, in a month. This is what was going on. So it's not a, I didn't, it's not anything we've ever had a issue communicating. Availability is definitely there. Mass meetings are twice a month. Executive meetings once a month. We have 2 mass meetings a month, 1 executive meeting a month. So our officers are required. We would like to see our officers at least 3 times a month. That would be 2 mass meetings is 3 hours each. That's 6 hours. Executive meeting can be 2 hours. So officially asking for 8 hours out the month. Can we make ourselves available for that? The extra stuff is extra stuff, study groups if we got time, business meeting if you got time, spiritual meeting if you got time. I would like for orientation to be more consistent, but yeah, we haven't asked for much past couple months. We will that ask will increase as we get into September. That ask will increase, but current process would just be giving a heads up. That's all. I mean, we've grown. We know what's going on. We know what we're doing. We know our availability. Let's just be honest. If we got, if we even want to, I mean, I've even told individuals like, don't expect any. I've told y'all when we came back from HEC, don't expect nothing from me, really for that following month, because I needed to recover. I mean, I still attend meetings and everything, but I'm not going above and beyond. I gotta recoup. If I need to take time, if I need to take a trip, I'm gonna let y'all know. I haven't necessarily done that, but I'll let y'all know. Okay. Just heads up. Got where I was. Okay, yeah, but we're talking about local division, so these are all great questions. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. That's what it's about. President, we've talked about this. That word president, root word is preside. We have to be present at the very least. Even if we may not say anything, may not have any input, but we're there. If we're not there, what are we doing? We're expecting someone else to be there for us, and we're not presiding. Declaring offices vacant. So again, in regards to offices, shall be the prerogative of the male president only to declare an office vacant on the breach of Constitution by an officer or discharge a committee or its chairman. So male president has the prerogative to declare an office vacant if there's a breach of the Constitution, clearly. I am, and presidents can be lenient on individuals and allow, certain individuals, if the perception may be, hey, this individual's missed 5 meetings. I only missed 3. Did you miss, more than the Constitution states? Okay, it is what it is. But per the Constitution, Section 11, and has not been amended, shall be the prerogative of the male president only to declare an office vacant on the breach of the Constitution by an officer or discharge of a committee or its chairman. Term of office of local divisions. So we'll go to the amended term of office of, and we just read this, of each local division shall be 1 year. After the time which office may be transferred, reelected, or its position shall not apply to the executive secretary. Suspended, dismissed officers shall have no right or claim to promotion. We don't have, let me see, suspended, dismissed. We're not gonna do all that. Shall have no right or claim to promotion, transfer, or reelection to office. And this shall not be interpreted to mean officers whose positions. Okay, and this shall not be interpreted to mean officers whose position might have been declared vacant. So, okay, that's different. Office being declared vacant is not the same as suspended or dismissed. And the only thing that we have done, or if it was misinterpreted, we have declared offices vacant. But we're in discussion. Bylaws of local divisions. So again, how do we get the third and third vice president? Divisions and subordinate societies may enact bylaws for their own government, providing the bylaws do not conflict with the Constitution and general laws of the UNIA-ACL. Such bylaws shall be submitted to the Secretary General to be presented to the President General and Executive Council for approval before final adoption. So this is what we've been talking about all year. President Ross has been pushing for this, beyond this year. New officers understand, this is new, especially brand new officers. It's first time hearing this, but officers that just joined this year or recently last year, that is new. But longer officers like myself, Brother Macias, Brother Art, possibly, we've been talking about finalizing our bylaws and having our bylaws submitted for approval. So the assignment for each of us this year was to review each of our individual offices and come up with any changes or have it approved so that we can, come back to our leadership and say, hey, we've gone over each of our offices, all of our officers are in approval, and we would like to finalize our bylaws. So we have not been able to do that. All officers have not did not complete the assignment. We're trying to find a way to proceed around that, but we want to finalize our bylaws. And per Constitution, there's a process to do that. Questions, comments on bylaws? Committees of management, charter divisions may appoint local committees of management to carry through the various objects of the society. That's something that we're working on with our programs, study group, business. Those can develop into committees. Garvey Day, planning is kind of developed into a committee. HEC planning for next year can be a committee, but that's within our authority as a local charter division to create our own committees. Transmitting of reports. Divisions and subordinate societies must transmit and make monthly reports for all the funds of the Office of the President General of the Universal Negro to the Office of the President General of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League, on whom it is incumbent to administer the working of local divisions, irrespective of local financial considerations. So we must submit our monthly financial reports, and we should know that we are up to date. We need to take care of the month of July, but that's not due until August 21st. So we are officially up to date. Negroes, active members. Member of the African race can become active members. So this is where I was talking about the distinction between active and non-active. So no division shall admit to active membership. Oh, no, this is not. Any person other than one who is a member of the African Black race. So basically just saying that if you're not African, Black race, Negro, as we used to say, you cannot be an active member of the UNIA per the Constitution. Every member of a division shall be expected to be loyal and truthful to the dictates of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League. Okay, so it's just saying that we should be loyal to the UNIA. What section is this? Members of the African race. Okay. Discussing the business of the association. This is something that we've had an issue with, or I've been questioned of in the past, which it is what it is. It shall be unlawful for any officer or member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League to discuss the business of the association in public or with persons who are not active members, and anyone so charged and found guilty by the advisory board to which he or she shall belong shall forfeit his or her office. If an officer and shall be suspended from the meetings of the division for 3 months. If this offense is repeated, the advisory board shall recommend to the general membership the removal of officer or member so charged and found guilty. But basically, we should not discuss the business of the association in public or with persons who are not active members. Questions, comments on that? But yeah, it comes up. Appeal to executive office. If an officer shall have been removed from office by a local division for disloyalty to the organization, the executive secretary of the local division shall immediately report to the president of the local division and shall also make an immediate report to the president general of the entire proceedings. The officer so removed may make an appeal to the executive council, which shall judge the appeal from the evidence given at the trial before the advisory board of the local division. So if an officer is removed from office by a local division for disloyalty, so someone is removed for disloyalty to the organization, executive secretary. It's interesting. What if you don't have no executors? So I would say executive secretary or president of local division shall immediately report to the president. Oh wait, so executive secretary or the president of local division shall make immediate report to the president general of the entire proceedings. The officer so removed may make an appeal to the executive council, which shall judge the appeal from the evidence given at the trial before the advisory board of the local division. So if someone is removed from a local division, they can make an appeal, and they will make that appeal to the executive council, and there will be a hearing based on the evidence that was provided to the local advisory board. Any questions on that? That is appeal to executive council. So yeah, if we feel that we are mistreated, there's an appeal process as well. Plotting of members and officers. Amended 2005, there shall be no plotting of members or officers against fellow officers or members of a division. On conviction before the advisory board, the officers shall be removed from office and suspended for 3 months from active membership by the president. Any active member attending the meeting of the association with motives to create disharmony among the officers and members and disturbing the peaceful, harmonious working of the division shall, for the first offense, be suspended for 3 months, and upon the second conviction for like offense, be expelled from the division. I don't think we haven't had that issue. We haven't had that issue locally. Any questions on plotting of members and officers? Certificate of membership. All members of the division shall be provided with a certificate of membership, which shall set forth, be in brief, the purpose of the organization. We got to get on that. We don't have certificates, so we need to clean that up. That's something we need to work on. Honestly, though, if someone could take a note, Brother Najee preferably, but let's see who else we got. Yeah, I mean, Sister Diane, I don't know you tied up with the study group and race first, but I would like to have an in-person orientation sometime soon after Garvey Day and convention. And if we could be able to provide official certificates of membership. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I got one back in 2019. Well, we haven't done it since then though. So we have a template. If we can have an in-person, thank you, Dr. Kuda. Please, yeah, just make a note. We can discuss that after Garvey Day or at September executive meeting. Bring up the idea of in-person convention and certificates for membership. That's constitutional requirement. Thank you. Relationship to members. So every member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League is by fraternity admitted to the brotherhood and sisterhood of the race, and therefore is requested to treat each and every one of the race in the truest spirit of friendship and affection, and to all that lies in his or her power to advocate the cause of Africa. I believe that's pretty much exactly the same. Okay, so obligation is that's like the aim and object number 2 to promote spirit of pride and love. So as Garveyites per the Constitution, we have a responsibility to treat each and every one of the race in the truest spirit of friendship and affection, and to all that lies in his or her power to advocate the cause of Africa. Constitutional. Respect to officers. All members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League are requested to show all due respect to the officers of the organization who exercise temporary power and authority in connection with the organization. Failing to do so will be subject to the same penalty as set forth in Section 20. I believe that's a 3-month suspension for the first offense. Section 19. I think this is Section 20, plotting of officers. Yeah, suspended for 3 months, and upon second conviction, like offense, expelled from the organization. So those are the same penalties for disrespect to officers. Insubordination. No officer or member shall be insubordinate to those in higher authority. Very clear, very straightforward. Any questions on insubordination, respect to officers? Relationship to members. Talk about plotting of officers. Okay, continuing is 419. We talked about insubordination. Continue on insubordination. Any president or officer of local division who causes the arrest or prosecution of any high official officers or representatives of the parent body through grievances affecting such president or officer shall be forthwith removed from office. So if any officer or president is responsible for a high officer being arrested, that officer and president should be removed from office. Shall be the duty of presidents, officers, and members of the local division having grievances against any representatives of the parent body to pursue the proper course provided by the Constitution and laid down in the general laws. No officer, so for local divisions, laid down in general laws. For high executive council concerns, is laid out in the Constitution. No officer or special parent body representative sent to a local division shall meet with any unofficial member of that division. Okay, so basically, we should not be working to get our high officials arrested. We should follow the Constitution, the grievance process as laid out in the Constitution. Questions, comments? Part of that process is addressing the convention and high executive council. Continuing, nor shall such person or persons make any statement or statements which may prove detrimental to the harmonious working of that division, of which may tend to foster suspicion on any officer or officers of that division, or on any field representatives, or on any member of the high executive council. Okay. All right. So basically keeping respect to officers. Control over local divisions. President General and Administrator through his office shall have complete and constitutional control over all local divisions and societies allied to the parent body of which he is the recognized head. So officially, President General is the head of each local division. President's report. The president of local division and society shall see that their executive secretaries make the proper monthly reports to the office of the President General through the office of the Secretary General. So that right now is pretty much being done with our financial report. That's our monthly report that we send to our leadership. Failure to make monthly reports. Many divisions have fallen victim to this, and we've kind of worked through a way of dealing with it. But per the Constitution, we're not supposed to miss 2 consecutive monthly reports. No problem, Brother Najee. Thank you. Okay, any division or subordinate society failing to make its monthly report to the office of the Secretary General for 2 consecutive months shall be first reprimanded by the Secretary General verbally. So if we miss for 2 months, Secretary General should say, hey, you are missing your reports. You got to get on top of that. If it happens again, Secretary General shall put the reprimand in writing, sending a copy to the President General. Third and final offense shall be accompanied with a written reprimand from the President General. If this behavior continues, said division will be called before the Executive Council and asked to explain its negligence. The Executive Council shall make a decision and communicate it in writing to the office of the President General, sending the division and Secretary General copies of the decision. If the division is found to be sound, the Secretary General will be directed by the President General to offer organizational and secretarial advice to the division. If this final intervention is not adhered to, then the parent body shall proceed to reestablish jurisdiction over said division or society by re-election or appointments of new officers for its administration. It may also be determined by the parent body that the division needs to be dissolved. In that case, the charter would automatically be forfeited. So if we miss 2 consecutive meetings, we are at risk. Per the Constitution, a division is at risk of forfeiting their charter. Any questions, comments on monthly reports? Failure to make monthly reports. Charitable fund. Students of the course of African philosophy should be familiar with the concept of a charitable fund. According to the Constitution, a charitable contribution shall be made to a member of a division whose dues and taxes are currently paid up at the time of his or her death. The division may pay the designated fee to the family member as stated in their bylaws, spouse, child, mother, or father or guardian. The beneficiary must be listed with the division to which the particular member belongs. A copy of the obituary must be brought to the local division and given to the secretary. Secretary shall in her next written report to the Secretary General send a copy of this obituary to the parent body's records. So that's a charitable fund for loss of loved ones. Locally, we do have something that we do for our members through our charitable fund and office of chaplain. Okay, continuing arrears. No member in arrears for 2 months for general dues shall be entitled to receive a donation from the charitable fund for the purpose of assisting the bereaved beneficiary 30 days after arrears have been paid. The member may receive benefits. Any member 6 months in arrears will receive benefits 6 months after arrears have been paid. They may waive this requirement if they deem appropriate. So I guess just giving the ability for some divisions to withhold charitable gifts if an individual is in arrears for their dues. So nothing major, but it is there in the Constitution if we so choose to use that. Payment of charitable gift. No charitable gift shall be paid until a member shall have paid 6 months as an active member of the association and have been in the association for 6 months. So one shall be paid until a member have paid 6 months. Divisions paying into the charity fund of the parent body for its individual members may advance the charitable gift from their treasury to facilitate immediate payment and then collect the same from the office of the Secretary General. But divisions paying into the charity fund of the parent body. So paying into the charity fund of the parent body for its individual members may advance the charitable gift from their treasury. Okay, take it out of our treasury to facilitate immediate payment and then collect the same. Okay, so we can give charitable funds and then get reimbursement from Secretary General if we were paying into the charitable fund. Okay, divisions not paying in a charity fund of the parent body, its individual members may advance the charitable gift from their treasury. Yeah, we can still do it. So even though we don't pay charitable fund officially, we can still give charitable funds from our treasury. Local division determines the fee. So yeah, we still have the authority locally to provide charitable funds. Divisions claiming donation from parent body for a member must send the Secretary General a copy of the member's death certificate and the member's dues cards. If dues card cannot be located, duplicate cards must be sent by the local division secretary. We haven't necessarily had that concern. Any persons or persons joining the association not in good health for the purpose of defrauding and collecting charitable grants shall not be entitled to the same, and no person shall in ill health joining the association shall become entitled to the charity grant until 2 years after such membership. So I guess some individuals join just for the benefits, and the Constitution states that if you had ill health, you can't get benefits for 2 years. Charitable benefits for 2 years. If you're obvious ill health, I assume. Death of a member, we'll skip that. Membership cards. Membership card shall be applied to each member of a division or society, Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League. And on that card shall be entered month by month payment of dues, assessments, charitable donations of the member. So everybody should have a dues card that kind of goes month to month up to like the year 2025. See, transfer of members. On the transfer of a member from one county, province, state, city, or town to another, he or she shall obtain from the secretary of his or her division a recommendation card to the secretary of the division to which he removes, and such secretary and his division shall do all in his power to assist the member as a stranger in their midst. So when we transfer, our secretary should assist in that transfer. That's something that we kind of looked at when we were talking about Brother Umar as well. All officers and members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall be cordial to one another, shall be ever willing to lend a helping hand in time of need and distress to a fellow member. So must be cordial, must be respectful, pride and love. Colors of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall be red, black, and green. Officially, per the Constitution, our colors are red, black, and green. Wearing of the colors. Section 38, amended 2005. Each member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall wear on his coat or her blouse a button representative of the colors of the organization so as to be distinguished as an active member and to merit the respect and consideration of other members. So, yeah, the button. We should all wear a button, and the button used to only be worn by active members. Now it's kind of a fashion statement, fraudulent statement, but active members, we should be wearing our buttons per the Constitution. Respectability to officers. All officers of divisions and societies of the UNIA-ACL shall be required to maintain high order of respectability, and any officer found drunk, immoral, dishonest, or disorderly in public shall be called upon by the president, and on conviction to resign forthwith his office. Drunk, immoral, dishonest, disorderly in public, displaying bad character, poor character. We're supposed to be officers, we're supposed to be leaders, we're supposed to be good representatives. So it's unacceptable at the end of the day. You know. Yes, hello.
Brother John?
Yeah, I'm here. I had a phone call, sorry. So yeah, respectability to officers. Officers, course of African philosophy, character, leadership, hygiene, being clean, being presentable. But in addition to that, drunk, immoral, dishonest, disorderly in public, these are not characteristics of leadership. These are not characteristics of officers of the UNIA. So per the Constitution, we must hold each other accountable and make sure. And we haven't had this issue. I'm preaching. This is kind of nonsense. What I'm saying, not nonsense, but who I'm the audience that I'm speaking to. We don't have this issue, but if we do see it, and if we see it on different levels, so if we're going to high executive council, we're going to convention, we see a brother, sister, that's an officer that's kind of, had a little bit too much to drink. We should be able to approach them. We should be able to come together and say, hey, officers, we see our brother, we see our sister. He or she is not representing us well. Let's talk to their leadership, and let's approach this individual per the Constitution. Okay. Members under the influence of liquor or controlled substance. So this has been expanded. Any members entering a meeting of the UNIA-ACL who is under the influence of liquor or some other controlled substance will first be asked to leave. If she does not leave voluntarily, will be forcibly removed by the Sergeant of Arms Division President or his designee. So again, clean, presentable. We're not trying to, just kick people out left and right, but we want to maintain a safe, clean environment. Division president shall counsel such member remove verbally if it is his first offense. If his behavior is repeated the second time, the president will issue a written warning advising the member to get assistance. It may also include suggested places where such assistance may be obtained. If this behavior happens a third time, the member is automatically suspended from active membership for 3 meetings of the UNIA-ACL. When the member returns, his or her behavior is monitored by the officers. If the member continues this behavior, he or she is sent a letter signed by the president of the executive committee to ask him or her to not return until he or she is sober. The president and executive committee will offer in the letter encouragement and assistance for the member to be rehabilitated. So, officers, we just got to keep an eye out. Again, we haven't had this issue. I don't expect us to have this issue, but if we do, there is a process in the Constitution to address these issues. I'll go through a couple more. Misappropriation of money. No officer or member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall retain in his possession for more than 24 hours funds or monies intended for the UNIA-ACL. Any officer found misappropriating the funds of the organization shall be dismissed and action taken against him to recover monies thus misappropriated. And the president of each division shall see to the carrying out of this law. So no officer or member shall retain in his possession for more than 24 hours funds or monies intended. Okay. Sounds like theft. No selling of stock or shares. No officer or member of the division shall allow to sell private stocks or solicit shares for any individual or private company at a meeting of the UNIA and ACL. So we don't sell stocks or solicit shares for any individual or private company at a meeting. So something to be aware of. Investment by division. This is something we've talked about recently. Divisions or societies of the UNIA-ACL may invest their money in a self-owned business of any description upon the approval of the parent body. So it has to be approved by the parent body. Such self-owned business by the division must have another name. It cannot use the name of the UNIA-ACL or the name of the local division. We never even got to that part, but constitutional rules in regards to naming a local division business. Profits from investments. All profits derived from investments by local divisions or societies of the UNIA-ACL shall go to the general fund of the local division or society to be used as herein before ordered. Auditing accounts of local divisions. We haven't done this in a while. President General shall cause a traveling auditor to visit all divisions, auditing their accounts at any time. I have not encountered an auditor, a traveling auditor, since I've been a part of the UNIA in 2018. Charitable fund of local divisions. Each local division or society maintain a charitable fund for the purpose of assisting any distressed member of the race. So per Constitution, we have that right. Per the Course of African Philosophy, we have that directive. Loans to members. Each local division shall maintain a fund for rendering ready assistance by way of loans or honor to active members who may be temporarily embarrassed, which loans shall be repaid with or without interest at the earliest convenience of the member according to the ruling of the local division. So as a division, we have the right to provide loans to our members if we have the funds to do so. Members in distress, the division may help from its charitable fund any member who may need help from its charitable fund, any member in distress where injustice has been done, and in case where further aid is needed on the part of said member, application shall be made to the parent body through the Bureau of Justice. Employment Bureau, amended and eradicated in 2005. So prior to 2005, there was a constitutional section. Each local division shall maintain an employment bureau for the purpose of finding employment for the members of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement League, UNIL. That was eradicated 2005. Buildings. Each local division shall maintain as far as possible a building of its own, whether we rent, lease, or purchase, shall maintain a general office and shall hold a general meeting every Sunday afternoon from 3 to 6 or at night, over which the president shall preside. A meeting shall also be held in the evenings of weekdays. No division or chapter shall purchase any real estate or erect a building or engage in any business without approval of the parent body through the Minister of Labor and Industry. So something else that we're slowly working on is getting a building of some sort. I'll continue just for a few more minutes. General meetings. So how are local general meetings? What does the Constitution say about general meetings? All divisions shall call a fortnightly general meeting other than Sunday for the purpose of keeping the members together. If an officer cannot make the Sunday meetings due to employment, he or she may attend a weekly or Saturday division meeting instead. All divisions shall call a fortnightly general meeting other than Sunday. Fortnightly is 2 weeks to my knowledge. Other than Sunday, we definitely have our meetings on Sunday. Maybe down the road we'll move that, but That's what we've become accustomed to, is meetings on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Absent officers, any officer of local division who should absent himself or herself for 2 consecutive meetings in division without leave of absence shall automatically forfeit his or her office. Division shall forthwith elect a successor. Publishing reports, all elections, changes, notices, news, and reports of divisions or societies shall be published regularly in the newspaper of the UNIA-ACL, currently known as the Garvey's Voice. All elections, changes, notices, that hasn't been happening. And that hasn't been happening. Journal, parent body of the UNIA-ACL shall publish a regular journal for the circulation among Africans, and each division of society shall be responsible for its proper distribution and circulation. So we do that like annually. They're working on an annual ad journal, which we participate in, I think, this year. Not necessarily an ad, but we got some words. Couple more. The Journal or Garvey's Voice of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall be the official mouthpiece of the organization, and the editor or editors shall see and so provide that nothing contrary to the interests of the organization appears therein, and that the Garvey Voice be controlled and directed by the President General. Each and every member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall be a regular supporter of the Garvey's Voice. The financial support of the journal shall be separate and distinct from the monthly dues and taxes. Right to question. So this is local as well. Each member of divisional society by right of membership. So as long as you're an active member can question the action of any officer or officers of the division doing anything contrary to the Constitution and general laws of the UNIA and ACL. So they have the right to question, but again, we have to know the Constitution and know what's contrary to the Constitution if we want to legitimately question. Rights. Commissioners and organizers. Commissioners shall be appointed over districts, states, and provinces, shall be the organizers, and shall supervise the work of all divisions therein. So again, district commissioners, we are in District 5, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. All commissioners shall make a monthly report to the President General touching upon the work performed by them for the organization, and also send a report to the offices of the Secretary as deemed by the President General. And these are the districts. District 1, New England, New York, Eastern Canada. District 2, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. District 3, Maryland, Virginia, DC. District 4, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky. District 5, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. District 6, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. District 7, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois. District 8, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. District 9, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah. District 10, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's a strong district. We're missing a lot right there with District 10. We got to get them going. District 11, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. District 12, California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, and West Canada. District 5 is a good division too. We got to tap into a South Carolina and Florida. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. We're talking about music, anthem. Anthem of the association. Let me briefly. Each division shall maintain a band or musical orchestra, which shall be used as designated meetings or other gatherings of the organization in whole or in part, and also a well-organized choir if feasible. So we don't really have a band. We work with the Egbe Eguma drummers. That's probably the best thing we've got in regards to a band, but nothing official UNIA band. Anthem. The anthem of the association shall be played or sung at public meetings or functions or whenever appropriate at the opening or closing of such meetings or both. And while it is being played, all persons shall stand. The men shall stand with uncovered heads except in uniform. Men in obedience to the military regulations will stand at attention or salute. Legion band, we're not going to go into that. So we eradicated the Legion band. Members and civil court. No member shall be permitted to take another member of the association to any civil court before placing their grievance before the board. So we don't go to United States courts before we bring them to the High Executive Council, our internal approval processes. That in every division of the UNIA, a juvenile branch be formed. This was eradicated. That's interesting. Only teach spiritual racial uplift be taught. I feel like that's something we could probably revive as a juvenile branches. Chaplains, all chaplains of the UNIA-ACL shall be intelligent persons versed in the reading and interpretation of the universal rituals and the scriptures. Dispensaries was eradicated. Medical or surgical dispensaries, that was eradicated. Surgeon General was added in 2005. Whenever feasible, UNI, he basically provides reports, various parts of the world where medical or surgical aid is needed. Such dispensaries, this is dispensaries. Okay, we're gonna stop there because this takes us into rules and regulations for the Universal African Legions. So I'm pretty sure we've completed. No, maybe not. This probably still consists of general laws, but we don't have to worry about that. This is obviously we're getting into the auxiliaries. I wanted to make sure we understood our local division. I think the last section for a local division would be Surgeon General. So I'll read that. Whenever feasible, UNI-ACL shall establish medical and surgical dispensaries in the various parts of the world where medical and surgical aid is needed. Such dispensaries shall be supported by the local division in the locality where such dispensaries are established. Sections on Universal African Legion, Black Cross Nurses, Universal African Motor Corps, juveniles, choirs shall remain intact for history's sake. When and if the auxiliaries are activated by local divisions, when and if these auxiliaries are activated by local divisions, so that's another sign that we can reactivate these auxiliaries. The local division, under the supervision of the President General and High Executive Council, will update them according to the mandates of their individual localities and in keeping with the original intent of the Constitution. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Any questions or comments on anything that we have read or have not read? No questions. All right, all right. There aren't any questions.
I just want to thank you, President John, because every time you take us through the Constitution, it becomes clearer to me.
Thank you, Dr. Good. Yeah, I do this. I mean, I need to review it as well. So instead of me just reviewing it on my own, why not, open up a Zoom and we can all look at it together. That's my thought. Yeah, okay. All right, we will prepare to close out. Look for High Council. Sitting of Executive Council, that's why. This is the other big meeting that we went to at the beginning of the year, but the counterpart to convention. But in regards to addressing concerns, Executive Council of the UNIA-ACL shall assemble at the headquarters of the association or any other designated location and shall consist of all the high officers of the association and others elected thereto. President General Administrator shall be his chairman. In his absence, First Assistant President General Secretary is secretary. It shall decide all questions arising from divisions and all matters affecting the organization, both internal and external. The Executive Council shall also address all matters affecting the good and welfare of the organization and its members at large. Convention is a follow-up to High Council. High Council is kind of where we're supposed to get the heads up for what we want to plan to get resolution for in August. But August is where the official amendments are made, where the elections are done. And that's what we will be doing next week. And this will be the last, this is the last session of the Constitution for now. We'll probably pick this back up, maybe touch on the Constitution towards the end of the year, but definitely we'll pick it up next year prior to High Executive Council. Brother Andrew. Brother Andrew not there. Okay, I'm gonna close out with our motto. If you would, please come off mute. We'll do our motto and our slogan. Could request a meeting summary. Okay. Let me know what the summary is. See if I was coherent.
I'm just testing. I saw the icons, so I was just testing to see what it will do.
No problem. But yeah, I'd like to know what it thought. I was saying. If you would, please come on mute and repeat after me. One God.
One God,
One aim.
one aim,
One destiny.
one destiny.
Africa.
Africa,
For the Africans.
for the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at home
Those abroad.
and those abroad.
Race first, family. Mass meeting tomorrow. Yeah, mass meeting tomorrow. So we'll talk soon.
Race first, peace and love, family.
Race first.
One love.